Welcome back, everybody, and welcome back to the Graystone Acres Kitchen. Hey, we're glad to have you today. Today we are doing a little bit something different. We're not making a meal, we're making a drink. And like the beginning of our episodes, we like to take a shout out to a local business. This time we're switching it up a little bit. We're actually going to take a shout out to another YouTuber. This is Max Miller's book, Tasting History. It is amazing. I love this cookbook. It has so many recipes from seems like the dawn of time until maybe the last 100 years. This has so many cool things, and he has a YouTube channel. Guys, go check it out. He actually does this recipe on his channel, goes into the history of eggnog. We're going to touch a little bit about that also. Hope's going to go into that for you guys, but shout out to Max Miller and his YouTube channel, Tasting History. All right, so we're going to do this recipe now. I will say this recipe is from 1887. So when I say it has a lot of booze in it, it has a lot of booze in it. Okay, but we're going to go through our ingredients. A little bit of rye whiskey, brandy, heavy whipping cream, whole milk, sugar. Seasonings are going to be, spices are going to be nutmeg, and this is where I changed it a little bit from his recipe, clove, cinnamon. And the reason we're bringing it to you this month of December, Christmas time, is not only for the holiday season. I love eggnog during this season, but also we are now offering barn fresh eggs. These are our eggs from our laying hens. We're going to use them in this recipe today and show you guys. You guys want some eggs if you're in the Marion County, Harrison County, Mont County, West Virginia, please, graystoneacres.com. Check us out. We have eggs on our website, on our farm store. So that's to showcase our eggs, and this is the recipe that we're going over. Like I said, this is a heavy one, so proceed with caution a little bit. The recipe that we will put on our website will be different than this one. We're going to actually choose a more modern take for it for our website. But I wanted to try this recipe. I want to try Max's recipe, and this is what we're going to do today. So stay tuned. We'll walk through all the steps and all the ingredients and everything like that. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. First, you want to separate both your yolks and your whites into two separate different bowls. I did this already because it's not exactly a hard process to do. I just want to speed up the video. But if you would like to learn, I know there's YouTube videos out there that will show you how to crack an egg and separate whites and yolks. And sometimes even I mess up, so I got a little bit of yolk in my whites there. But so first, you want to start beating your eggs. So they're a nice light yellow. Okay. Now, while you're beating your eggs, you're going to add your sugar. Now, we're adding 3/4 cup of sugar, but we're going to add them a 1/4 cup at a time. Okay. So. Now, you can do this part with a hand mixer if you choose to. I chose to do this with just my whisk. And you want that fully incorporated before you add the next 1/4 cup. Remember, we're adding 3/4. Sure everything's incorporated. There we go. Put it all in there. All right. 1 Okay. Now that that's all incorporated, while we keep beating, we're going to now slowly pour in our alcohol. So we're going to start with the brandy first. Now, when I said this was a heavy booze drink, we're going to add 1.5 cups of brandy. Very slowly incorporate that while you beat them. And you guessed it, 1.5 cups of whiskey. And you want to get rye whiskey. Now, a little bit of fact about rye whiskey. Rye whiskey actually came from Pennsylvania. A lot of people don't know that. And there's a little bit of tidbit of Appalachian history for you. Look up the Whiskey Rebellion. All right. Now we're going to add our milk, cream, and nutmeg and other spices till well combined. So we're going to add our milk first. Now we're adding a pint of milk here. So I got working around the camera. Pint of whole milk. And we're going to do another pint of whole milk and get 1 quart. Alright, now that's our milk. Now we're going to add our cream. It's 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. Little TV magic, but I had to get a bigger bowl. All right, so I'll incorporate that. 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. And all our spices, and that is 2 teaspoons of nutmeg, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1/4 teaspoon of ground clove. For this part of the video, I'm just whipping up the egg whites until I get soft white peaks, and then we're going to incorporate them into the rest of the eggnog. Okay, now that we have our egg whites beaten, we're going to, about 1/3 of it at a time, incorporate it into there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Now, you want to cover it with foil and set it in your fridge for at least 4 hours. But apparently, according to the internet and everything I've read, if you let it sit for at least 3 days, that's when everything really comes together. That's when you get the best flavors. So we're going to let it sit for at least a couple days in our fridge, and then the Hope and I will taste test it and everything and tell you how we like it and how we enjoy it. But that is basically it. That's all you have to do. Not too hard of a video, not too hard of a thing to make eggnog, but I will say it is boozy, this recipe, but I'm excited about it. All right, everybody, so we are back with a more modern recipe and a little bit of the history of eggnog. Actually, you have more of the notes than I do. I got the talking points. I got handed the talking points today. So we're letting the 1887 recipe rest for a few days. I think in the recipe book it was 3 to 5. This we've made just recently. This is a more modern recipe. This is actually the recipe that we're going to put on our website, graystoneacres.com. Please check it out. Go to the recipes page. It has all the ingredients listed and how you make it. And then also head over to the store, get you some eggs to make this recipe. So, all right. So more modern take. But let's go back a little bit. So how did this recipe develop?
Right. So the modern or the more popular theory is that it's based on a drink called posset.
Posset.
Posset. I should have Googled the pronunciation when I was writing my notes, which is warm curdled milk with wine or ale. Sometimes spiced, and as like we're getting closer to a modern eggnog, sometimes monks would add figs for sweetness. There was also another common practice called an egg flip. So like there's still like egg cocktails, but the egg flip was you put in an egg and then you passed it between cups to mix it. So like when you think of like a cocktail shaker, but you just like poured.
So let's use a fork to beat it up.
Yeah. Yeah. So
it's a bit extra.
It's a drink that has a lot of sugar, spices, lots of fatty dairy and eggs. It was originally made with sherry or other like fortified wines.
Okay.
So it was one of the foods that was like a real signifier of wealth. But then when it came to America, with the number of farms in America that had dairy and eggs, it became something that was a lot more available.
The everyday man's drink.
Yeah.
On Tuesday.
Yeah.
In the summer.
An everyday drink, as we sit here not having drink our eggnog. You should have put it in the notes. Mm-hmm. Try it.
Try it. Cheers.
I was right.
That's good.
Keep that in.
Yeah, that's good. All right. Oh, that's really good. All right. So let's talk about the name eggnog, nog. Like, I know about grog, nog. There's like, where's it all come from?
So there's a couple different ideas of the origin here. None of them seem to be really like provable. Even one of the entries is like, here's this guy's theory. There's no evidence.
No.
So
just a Wikipedia page without the sources.
Yeah.
Fly.
Except this man is the Wikipedia page without sources, which aren't they all, ladies?
Wow.
So the options... Don't edit it out. The options are maybe nog, which was a strong beer that was made in East Anglia, an ancient beer.
Okay.
A noggin, which was a wooden mug used for alcoholic drinks, like a carved wooden mug.
Okay.
It looks kind of like a Viking helmet.
I thought.
Carved in wooden. And it has like the bowl of the mug, but instead of having like a standard handle, has two like knobs.
Like knobs.
Kind of on the end. Grog.
Grog. Okay.
So which was used kind of interchangeably with rum. So mixing like egg and grog.
Okay.
You get eggnog. Or nug, N-U-G-G, which is a Scottish term for ale that was warmed with a hot poker. So like you have that.
I do have that. I have one of those beer. You heat it up with a torch and you stick it in a nice dark beer.
Well, you can heat it up with a torch. It's better and like the vibes are cooler if you heat it up. And, like
campfire. Yeah, let the dog out. She needed to go to the bathroom. All right, so where were you? All right, modern recipe. But let's talk a little bit first about how this modern recipe started in America way back in the day with one of our founding fathers, George Washington. Dun, dun, dun.
Well, you're wrong. I set you up to fail. The George Washington recipe is commonly cited as one of like the first written recipes or one of the first like formally written recipes for eggnog. But I found like an entire blog post that is like, here's one that's earlier. Here's one that's earlier. Here's one that's earlier. There's like a dozen.
You call the man who can't tell. Are you telling me after that cherry tree he told another lie?
I think historians maybe did because it was a good story.
Wow. You heard it here first, folks.
Sometimes people are wrong. If this is the first time you're hearing this, you need to leave this video and Google something else.
So how different is George Washington, even to the 1887 recipe that we just said, how different is George Washington's recipe to this one, our more modern one, and the 1887 one?
So his recipe is 1 quart cream, 1 quart milk, 1 dozen eggs, 1 dozen tablespoons sugar, 1 pint brandy, half a pint rye whiskey, half a pint Jamaica rum, and 1/4 pint sherry. So the recipe, the historical recipe that we did had rye whiskey and brandy.
Right.
And so the alcohol choices are different. The George Washington recipe didn't have like a firm number of eggs.
Okay.
People have kind of gone back in time and been like, this is kind of what tastes good and makes sense. 1 dozen tablespoons sugar is 3/4 of a cup. And I think that's about what the recipe we used for the historical recipe was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Yeah.
And then 1 quart cream, 1 quart milk. The historical recipe has 2 cups of one, 4 cups of another, so it's different in that regard. For the modern recipe, we increased the proportion of yolks to whites.
Right. Yeah.
So they kind of guessed on Washington. The recipe that we used, I think, had 10 whole eggs.
Mm-hmm.
For ours, we did 12 yolks, 8 whites. So you get more richness without adding more liquid.
Right.
But we still wanted to keep those whipped whites because that gave it a body.
I mean, it's frothy.
Yeah. You don't get without it.
Right.
You don't get in modern recipes. And then we added a lot more sugar.
Yeah, a lot more sugar.
It makes the medicine go down.
It's so good. It's so good. All right, so Washington used a bunch of different alcohols. We obviously used spiced rum in ours. And then, like you said, brandy and rye whiskey. Fun fact, tied into Appalachian heritage, rye whiskey started in Pennsylvania. And so, how has alcohol changed in eggnog over time?
So, talking about posset, that was, milk with wine, ale. Obviously, the Washington recipe had a whole slew, whole liquor cabinet.
Man liked to party
in there. But it came to America with British colonists. They brought their recipes at the same time as the transatlantic slave trade.
Yeah.
Which made rum. After slavery was abolished and rum was no longer artificially so inexpensive, the alcohol choices became a lot more regional, a lot more specific to the area of America that the people were making it. One of the things that became a lot more popular for eggnog as we think of it now, and many cultures have milk, egg, booze,
drinks,
beverages, but for eggnog as this combination of parts and this name, I think bourbon is pretty commonly associated with it because it is something that by definition is distinctly American.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so because we are in the holiday season, how did eggnog really become part of the Christmas tradition and even just being around in this time period in general?
Yeah. So, like I was talking about earlier, it's a combination of a ton of expensive ingredients. So, like, when you had to go the whole way to, like, the far east to get a single flavor that wasn't a potato, those spices.
Don't hate on the potato.
David once walked in the house when I was boiling potatoes that didn't have salt in them and said, "What smells so good?" So take that with a grain of salt.
I like potatoes.
So when those ingredients were incredibly expensive, and also just having full fat dairy, having eggs, those really calorie dense, literally, well, figuratively rich foods. Is something you were going to have really only when you were celebrating.
Oh, makes sense.
And you're going to have it at celebrations in the winter because there's so much dairy, there's so much egg, and a lot of recipes you let it sit. And that's not going to sit.
No, that's not very
well in the summer.
Oh, like all chunky and
like an egg salad at a barbecue.
Moving on. But that does make sense. Outside, cooling everything down, or keeping it cool, prolonging having the drink. Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so quick 180. What can you tell me about military history?
Is this because I caught you in a lie about George Washington? Because I can't tell you anything.
Is George?
History.
Did we go on his battle plan during the Revolutionary War, or how he pretty much started the French and Indian War? Like, no.
I think his plan was to try to win and for everyone to do their best and just see what we can do for the ball club. So,
Ken Burns. There we go. Next interview segment on one of your films right here.
So, my contribution to the military history portion of our recipe video is the West Point Eggnog Riot of 1826, one of the greatest skirmishes in U.S. Army history.
Oh, yes. As we all know.
So, West Point had a tradition of having a Christmas party because they stayed there over the holidays.
Okay.
And at some point, this party started to include eggnog. And it became like a pretty set tradition.
Okay, yeah. Makes sense.
The commander, who was relatively new at the time, was getting very new person in charge vibes. He was very worked up.
Everybody knows you get a brand new officer into a unit that always tries to shake things up. Very annoying. Go on.
I have never criticized our military ever. That's David.
Yeah, I'm allowed to. With that. That's like on the list of things you're allowed to do.
We are a veteran-owned farm.
That is true. We are.
Hashtag veteran-owned. So he's getting really worked up about increasing alcohol consumption and rowdiness. So he's like, I'm just going to tell them they can't, because that always works super well with young men and alcohol and fraternization and rowdiness. It's just don't
do that.
Has never backfired once. So said that the eggnog would be alcohol-free, so a group of cadets smuggled in 3.5 gallons of whiskey and rum from surrounding taverns.
Okay.
And just mix it up into the eggnog. So
nice.
It's so long ago, and I think that sometimes we think that people long ago were always very serious, because we only have serious pictures of people. And obviously, West Point, the Army itself, is not something that I have.
I mean, I'll give it to them. They produce good officers. They really do.
So they smuggled in the whiskey and rum, and it just sounds like a dorm party. You just mixed it in the eggnog and got drunk in the dorms.
There you go.
So it just standard freshman year shenanigans. But a cadet later described it as a large number of the cadets got on a spree and became excessively riotous, setting all officers at defiance, and even with a drawn sword, chasing one to his room, throwing missiles through the halls, breaking windows and the railings, the stairs and chairs. The scene, as described to me 2 days afterwards, was fit for bedlam.
For bedlam.
We go from standard freshman dorm party to swords.
To fit for bedlam.
So the riot involved 1/3 of the cadets that were at West Point at the time, and they did a full investigation, military police, military judicial system investigation.
Got it.
The Wikipedia page has the police are
Is it really? That's great.
That's
great.
It's written in old-timey law enforcement speak. When you're watching a procedural now, when you're it has that same vibe. So the investigation resulted in the implication of 70 cadets, the court-martialing of 20, and also one fully enlisted soldier.
Man.
Yeah.
They probably just threw that guy under the bus. That was Try to hang it all on him. No, I'm kidding. That's something that's wild. Just all over eggnog. All over eggnog.
Yeah, so hopefully no swords.
Yeah.
Just
No bedlam. No bedlam.
Wrap up this video and no swords.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you guys tuning in to the history portion. And like I said, this recipe actually will be on our website. Put it on our recipe portion. So go over to GraystoneHikers.com. Look at the recipe, get your ingredients list, buy your eggs from our store because
Takes 1 dozen.
it does take a dozen eggs. And guess what? We sell eggs by the dozen. That's right.
Only people who do it that way.
Yep. And so in a few days, we're going to try the 1887 recipe. And we're pretty excited about that. We think it's going to be pretty good. Yeah. Well, stay tuned. All right, everybody. So it's been about 5 days, and our eggnog has been in the fridge. And all the flavors, I guess, have been pretty much
getting to know each other.
Getting to know in the pot. Getting to know each other in the pot. Also, my beautiful wife in person. It's just her first time on camera. And we're going to try our eggnog, talk about eggnog, and maybe bring up a few fun facts about it. Again, shout out to Max Miller and his book, Tasting History. This would be a great gift to anybody who's likes cooking, likes a little bit of history. We love this book. We love Max's show. Check him out on YouTube. But this is his recipe with, I think I just changed the spices in it. So.
Yeah, we added some cinnamon and clove.
That's right.
And vanilla.
And a little bit of vanilla. That wasn't in the video. All right.
I'm ruining it already.
Yeah, I know. So we would have typically just used mugs. However, I wanted you guys to be able to see the eggnog in the glasses. I've definitely poured more in yours.
Heaven forbid.
I know. There we go. And garnish a little bit of nutmeg.
There's no sprinkle top on that.
I know. We're going to have to just palm it. And a little bit of... There we go.
Can you pause?
That's
I'm made
right.
for that kind of
My
work.
pulse are not made for that kind of work. Okay. So, cheers.
Yes. Still strong.
Yeah, it's still so. I first tried this in the directions. It said wait about 4 hours, and I first tried it.
Yeah, it was like what, 4 hours to 4 days.
Yeah, 4 hours, and but 3 to 5 days. Shh, hush, Bob. 3 to 5 days for everything to really meld together, and it did. Like it did, but you still get a lot of booze. It is a lot of booze, and after I first tried it, you kind of were like, let's parse this up, and, because we like to put our own recipe on our website for our own eggnog recipe because it will have our eggs and everything from the farm on it. So that's what we're trying to figure out. So yeah, what do you think about it?
I definitely think it has mellowed some from the first time I tried it, and I was like, we gotta do something with this because it's in our fridge and we're gonna have to drink it. So it's definitely mellowed, but it's definitely more of a cocktail than a thing that you've spiked. Yeah. It's more like the point of it is that it's alcohol versus here's a thing I have in my fridge that I can add a shot of something to after bedtime. The biggest difference that I can tell, aside from the strength of the cocktail, is that older recipes tend to include whipped egg whites. Okay, yeah. A lot of recipes when we tried it for the first time, and I was like, let's make this something that we can have maybe 2 of. Most modern recipes use just yolks for richness. And the yolks also, if you saw my bit on emulsification, and if you didn't, go watch it. Yeah, go watch that. A lot of good information. Egg yolks are an emulsifier. So they're holding the drink together because there's a lot of liquid, a lot of fat. The egg yolks hold it together. and they make it rich. That's where the majority of the fat in an egg is from. But this recipe and a lot of older recipes also include the whites. And when you whip the whites, they have a lot more potential to hold air.
Got it.
And the recipe had you add things in stages, right? Didn't it?
Yeah, it did have
I
five
was
things in stages.
I was on a little farmhand duty for the making of, but it had you add things in stages so that the air would stay in the egg whites. And that's why this has more body. It's not foamy necessarily, but it has like the thickening.
Yeah, it's definitely thicker.
white
It's
steak.
way thicker than what you get was at Turkey Hill or
Turkey Hill is the one from my childhood.
Yeah, Southern Comfort makes one. It's way more liquidy. Like it's not as frothy, not as airy.
Most store-bought eggnogs are going to have some sort of thickener in them. So maybe like a starch or carrageenan, which I think is like either a moss or derived from a moss.
A moss.
It's like a gelling agent.
Okay.
And that gets you that like thick, rich texture without real food ingredients. I mean, I guess you could eat it, but that is how you get that like thick mouth coating feel from the store-bought eggnogs. It's a lot harder to keep egg whites foamy.
Okay, yeah.
In like a cartoned manufactured product. Along the lines of the like olden timies of it all. In my research, I found a list of different names for eggnog from the 1878 Modern Bartender cookbook.
What do we got?
It includes plain eggnog.
Okay, well.
Why bother? It differentiates between milk punch and egg milk punch.
Milk punch.
Yeah.
That sounds okay.
There's a book, I think, I don't remember if it's Paper Towns or Looking for Alaska. It's by John Green. And one of the characters makes a drink that he calls ambrosia. They're all at a prep school, and he drinks a little bit out of a gallon of milk, and then he puts vodka in it, carries it around like it's just milk.
Ugh.
That's what milk punch reminds me of. Baltimore eggnog, General Jackson eggnog, Imperial eggnog, Sherry Cobbler eggnog, Sherry Cobble with egg, mulled claret with egg, egg sour. This is the favorite one.
Egg sour.
Whiskey sour.
Whiskey sour. That's what I was about to say. Egg sour was okay.
A cocktail that exists. The favorite one that I found was Saratoga egg lemonade.
Saratoga egg lemonade.
Yeah. Which kind of like, I was like, well, that's really gross. And then I'm like, well, what about like a lemon custard pie? That's delicious.
Yeah, that's good, but
yeah, it said it was also called a sea breeze.
Oh, because the recipe in this book is from 1887.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a single drop of lemon in that. I don't. Nor are we we're not gonna recommend putting lemon in.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't.
Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to make us drink Saratoga egg
Let's
lemonade.
know. Like, comment, and subscribe, but not if you want us to drink that. No.
If this video gets 50 likes, we'll make Saratoga egg lemonade.
Sure. No, we need higher. At least 100. At least 100, guys.
Now everyone's learning in real time that I don't check our stats.
Yeah, honestly.
The other thing I learned in my research. A dog here who wants to play rope.
We got rope. We got a rope toy. The Freya segment.
Yeah. We don't have an editor. It's David. One of the other things that I found out when I was doing some research is that I'm thinking of like a Kellogg's sanatorium kind of style, like health
Oh,
retreat sort
yeah,
of situation.
gotcha, yeah.
Eggnog was used in those sort of like old-timey health spa kind of scenarios for patients who are on an all-liquid diet to fortify their diet. Because
I
that's
can
the
see
fat
that. Yeah.
from the eggs, the protein.
Everything good growing
There's
boy
some
needs.
great-
Yeah.
yeah. Also, like the warming spices.
I tell you what, halfway through it though, it does go down smooth.
That's the point of cocktails. The warming spices in it, like the nutmeg, the cinnamon, those are, off and on considered medicinal. One of the other things that I found kind of funny, little farmhand, almost two, has lots of opinions about what's for dinner.
Yeah, that is true.
Sometimes we'll eat scrambled eggs for breakfast, sometimes won't. They suggested eggnog as a way to introduce eggs to little children.
Interesting.
Because there's a ton of sugar and a ton of milk, and most picky toddlers are pretty into sugar and milk.
Now I wonder, when they used to suggest that, did they have like a virgin eggnog, or did they still have the booze? Because common practice that a kid has an achy tooth, you give a little bit of whiskey in the gums. This is pre-knowledge of, hey, this stuff is bad.
Pre-knowledge of don't get your kids drunk.
Nap time goes smoother. Not recommending that.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that was unclear.
Okay. Yeah.
Instructions unclear.
Instructions unclear. Well, I was also thinking, because this is an older recipe, it has the amount of booze that it has. Maybe more of a preservation.
I think that maybe when we look back in time, we forget that people like to have fun.
That's true. They threw a lot of, old Ben Franklin, dude was a partier. They definitely
often ascribe more wisdom.
George Washington, we were talking about George Washington.
One of the first recipes
of eggnog, and the man liked to throw a party. Maybe
welcome to our home.
Yeah. Maybe I don't know, what do you think about the spice blend? Do you like how I
like the spices. I
will admit, I don't know how much vanilla I put in, because I did it afterthought. I was like, oh, I forgot to add this to the recipe.
Yeah.
I do know how much cinnamon, nutmeg, and clove I put in. So there is that. Yeah. Any other hot takes?
Believe it or not, no.
No, okay. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. Please, again, like and subscribe if you like what we're doing here in the Graystone Acres Kitchen. We will put our own recipe on our website. Try to get it out sometime in December. This will air shortly before Christmas, probably the week before Christmas, after I get done doing all the work and editing. Again, Max Miller's book. This is an easy gift to somebody, telling you they would enjoy it. Not even if you're not a big cook, the information in this is just cool. It's just cool to read the recipes and see where food comes. He has them all the way from the dawn of time, pretty much.
Yeah.
to honestly pretty close to modern time. So so thanks for tuning in, and
Happy bedtime, everyone.
Happy bedtime, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year.